So you've built a beautiful satellite. You had it launched into space, and it made it into its orbit without any problems. Then, a couple days later, another satellite approaches yours. Uh-oh. All of a sudden, a key component has stopped working. Maybe it was a very sophisticated camera. Maybe it was a critical antenna, but up until that other satellite arrived next to yours, everything was working fine. Now, it's not. Well, you're the victim of a rendezvous and proximity operation, or RPO. So, what is an RPO? Well, an RPO is the execution part of a co-orbital ASAT counterspace weapon. This counterspace weapon, unlike a direct ascent ASAT attack, is first placed into orbit and later maneuvered into or near the intended target in orbit. That's the RPO part. Now, this is a fairly sophisticated form of counterspace weapon because it requires a lot of technical ability and space situational awareness. There's a lot of things you need to get just right, or you risk destroying the target space asset and your own. So why do it? Well, sometimes it's more valuable to listen in or collect the information that a space asset is receiving or transmitting. For example, if you can collect the information that a spy satellite is producing, that is tremendously valuable information worth having. The same goes for commands sent via satellite between military commanders. Imagine these are the commands of an enemy force with which you are fighting. If you can intercept those commands and do them without knowing, that's just perfect. But sometimes listening in isn't enough. You need to degrade the abilities of another state in space. So your satellite has a robotic arm. And look at those big solar arrays on that other satellite. It would be such a shame if anything were to happen to them, wouldn't it? Okay, so let's get into the features of a co-orbital ASAT attack. And when analyzing counterspace weapons, it's important to consider 5 main characteristics: reversibility, attribution, awareness, attacker damage assessment, and collateral damage. So let's do this for co-orbital ASAT attacks. The damage done can be reversible or irreversible. If the RPO makes use of a robotic arm to damage a critical sensor, that's irreversible. But using a robotic arm to drag a satellite out of its orbit temporarily, that's reversible. Attribution is dependent on whether you have been previously tracking the attacking space asset or not. This depends on your space situational awareness capabilities, and public awareness is entirely determined by the affected party's attribution capabilities or the good graces of private companies that make it publicly known. As for the attacker's damage assessment, this is near real time. A co-orbital ASAT attack requires careful monitoring to be executed. You will know straight away if the attack worked or it didn't. Finally, collateral damage is dependent on how the RPO was executed. Using a laser to permanently blind an optical sensor will not create space debris. However, using a robotic arm to perform physical damage or drag a satellite out of its orbit will produce space debris. Okay, homework done. Now, let's get into the interesting stuff. Has this counterspace weapon ever been used? What are the dangers and consequences of such an attack? And what does the future hold for this counterspace weapon? So to do that, follow the link in the description, sign up to a level, and I'll get straight into it. Thanks for watching.